Hello, fabulous fourth grade. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. I'm Miss Owens, the math coach at Longwood Elementary, and I am so excited to be working with you guys from home. So, in today's lesson, we are going to talk about number patterns. And this is actually our last week working on patterns. Next week, we're going to dive into conversions. So, with that being said, let's get to math. How are you guys doing out there? Well, I'm just stalling while I get my paper ready for our first problem. Are you guys doing okay? Good. We really miss you guys, and we're just excited that we can still be able to work with you guys from home. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you have your notebook, your whiteboard, your paper, your scratch paper, and you are writing this stuff down. Okay, so let's take a look at the first problem. It says, what are the next two terms in the sequence? So we're not just looking for one answer today, we're actually looking for two. And when we are taking assessments and there's more than one answer, we know that those types of questions are called multi-select, right? So let's take a look at our answer choices. Well, let's look at the pattern. So it starts at 18, moves to 16, and then 24, and then 32, and we have to figure out the next two numbers in this pattern after 32. So we can already see that this pattern is increasing, and we know that the two order of operations that are associated with increasing patterns are addition and multiplication. Awesome, you guys are so fabulous. That's why you're fabulous fourth grade. So let's look at our answer choices. Okay, I see 48, 54, 64, and 74. Whoop, we missed some, 40 and 46. So let's go ahead and put this on the whiteboard so we can work it out. And I hope you guys are writing this down at this point, because that's how we solve problems. Mental math has its place, but we are not kings and queens of mental math. We work it out so we can check our work. So, our key idea that we've been working on with patterns is to analyze the changes from one term to the next. So we're going to focus on term 1 and term 2, and from 8 to 16. We want to focus on the increase. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and just write down the next numbers in the pattern so that you guys can see it. And I know that there's an increase here. So if I was going to use addition, how much did I increase from term 1 to term 2? That's an increase of 8. Okay? So thinking about that key idea that we've been talking about Tuesday and all last week, we're analyzing the changes from term 1 to term 2. Now we're going to do the same thing from term 2 to term 3. So how much did it increase? Now it's really easy for me to count forward from 8 to 16, but I'm going to have to work out some, I'm going to have to do some work to figure out how much did I increase from 16 to 24. So I know that if I was to add 4 to 16, it will put me at 20. And when I'm adding, I always try to find or work with friendlier numbers. So that's why I decided to add 4. And then from 4 to 24, I would just need 4 more. So far, I have added 8 to get from 16 to 24. So from term 2 to term 3, it is also plus 8. Now at this point, I'm starting to predict, because that's what we talked about. We said that when we analyze patterns and we understand them, it allows us to predict or get a really good guess as to what's going on and what's going to happen next. Now, because I've been working with patterns and I see that it's plus 8, My mind is telling me, Miss Owens, this is a repeated pattern, and I'm pretty sure from 24 to 32, it's also going to be +8. But I'm not going to stop there, even though I know that my brain is very smart. I'm going to continue the work so that I can check and make sure that my answer is accurate. So, from 24 to 32, again, these numbers are getting a little bit more larger, so I am going to do the math. And now I'm going to play around with these numbers to see, can you guys see that? This is a really light color. Let's try to darken it up. 24 plus what number equals 32? Guess that's much easier. Well, let's start with my ones place. From 4 to 2, if I'm adding, I'd have to go to 12 because going backwards to 2 would be subtracting. So 4 plus what number equals 12? 8. And if I did 4 plus 8 equals 12, I'd have to regroup. Bring that 110 over here, and then 1 and 2 equals 3. So again, I added 8 here. So then from here to there, I'm adding 8. Now at this point, I want to go ahead and write my rule. My rule is what? What is the rule that I must follow from one term to the next? From term 1 to term 2, to get from 8 to 16, to get from 16 to 24, to get from 24 to 32. What is that rule that I'm following? Hint, hint, hint. It is +8, or I can write it as add 8, right? So in order for me to get from 32 to the next number, I'm going to follow the rule. I'm going to add 8. And I know that 32 plus 8 equals 40, because this is 2, and 2 and 8 is 10, and then if I regroup, I'll bring that extra 10 over to the tens place, and instead of having 3 10s, I'll have 4 10s. 4 10s equals 40. Now I'm at 40, I must also apply that same rule, +8, add 8, and 40 plus 8 equals 48. So if I go and I look at the next two numbers in this term, 40 and 48. Those are the next two numbers in this term, and I know that because the pattern follows the rule add 8. Now, we talked about once we solve for patterns, we want to go back and look for other rules that may be there that we didn't know. So, let me see if it could have been times 2. Well, 8 times 2 equals 16. Well, then 16 times 2 is not 24, so it definitely could not be times 2. 16 times 2 is 32. So times 2 would not be a good rule. There's something else going on with these numbers in this pattern. And you know what? I know that something else is going on because I can make a prediction that if I was to find the next number, it would be 54. Right? Let's see. If I was to take 48 and add 8, because that's the rule, 48 and 8. Let's see. 8 and 8 is 16, carry my 1, or regroup, sorry. 56, not 54, 56, Miss Owens, what are you thinking? I don't know, I made a mistake, sorry, thank you for helping me fix it. Let's see. I think I get it now. I know what else is going on with these numbers. These numbers are the multiples of a number. I bet you the next number would be 64. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. These are the multiples of 8. Did you know that? Did you know that these are the multiples of 8? They are. So another rule that thing that's going on with these numbers is these numbers are the multiples of 8. Now we've already found our answers, but I can just go back and look and say, which other numbers will appear in this pattern? 46 will not appear because it's not a multiple of 8. 54 will not appear. I made a mistake, but it's not a multiple of 8. 74 will not appear. It's not a multiple of 8. 64, it will appear. Is it the answer that I'm selecting for this question? No, because the question says, what are the next 2 terms? And we've already found that answer. But if I had to answer a different question, like, what are the possible numbers that will appear in this term? Well, all of these numbers are multiples of 8. And 64 is a multiple of 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. So that would appear, 64 would appear in this pattern if I was asked that question. Okay, so that's all the time that I have today, guys. You guys have been most wonderful. You are my favorite group of kids to work with. I hope that I'm helping you guys out when you're in Canvas and you're completing your assignments, and when you're in iReady and you're working with those patterns. I hope that you can go back to my videos and say, hey, I learned that from Miss Owens. Yay!